A very good afternoon from wherever you're joining us. This is the Lunchtime News. My name is Yambo, and at KBC Channel 1 on X is where to interact with us. My colleague on the sign language interpretation is Lucy Moura. So let's begin with the news, where the National Assembly is set to conduct public participation on the National Government Constituency Development Funds starting Monday. The public hearings will be held across all the 290 constituencies and will give Kenyans an opportunity to give their views on either abolishing the Kitui or entrenching it in the Constitution. Members of the National Assembly, however, continue defending the Kitui, saying it is impactful, especially to students from needy families who rely on bursaries. Kevin Washira with the details.
For me, I would want it to be anchored in the Constitution because it has been used as an item for campaigns. Now we know that the campaigns are coming in 2027, and there are some people who have no other idea. They have no other program, no even a vision for helping this country. But what they want is to destroy something that has been working.
NGCDF stands tall as the most effective decentralized fund in this country. And it is in the interest of every Kenyan to protect CDF. At times, people want to mix the conversation with members of parliament and so on. But even in its constitution today, the NGCDF Act is very clear that the role of the member of parliament is in for mobilizing for funds, that is by championing and lobbying in parliament, and then ultimately oversight.
On the CDF funds, education stakeholders in Kilifi County have strongly defended the National Government Constituency Development Fund and county bursary programs amid growing concerns over proposed reforms that could potentially phase out the funds. Speaking at an event marking the distribution of NGCDF bursary checks in Malindi sub-county, the stakeholders argued that the funds have been instrumental in supporting students from underprivileged backgrounds, and scrapping it would severely disrupt access to education.
Mkiondoa hiyo CDF, hata kama ni ile pesa kidogo, hao wazazi watakwenda wapi? Watafanya nini? Si unaona itakuwa ni shida hiyo? Hata kama ni katite, lakini si mnapata. Si wasukuma hiyo hesabu.
Tukiwa na huo msaada kwa wanafunzi kama hawa, wataweza kusaidika zaidi na kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba pia wanaweza kurealize dream yao katika maisha.
Hii mambo ya CDF imesaidia wazazi wengi ambao hawana uwezo, kwa sababu leo kila mtoto amepata shilingi 4,400. Hiyo 4,400 sasa hii ikiwa amepunguziwa maskini, amepata afueni kubwa sana.
Ninaomba serikali kuu mzingatie mambo ya basari, kwa sababu sisi kuna wazazi wengine hatuna uwezo.
In other news, there was drama at the Mombasa County Assembly as a section of civil society groups stormed the offices demanding transparency and public involvement in the county's budgeting process. The groups, led by prominent human rights organizations, say the county executive has failed to meet the legal threshold for public participation as outlined in the Kenyan Constitution. Tempers flared outside the Mombasa County Assembly as civil society activists and human rights groups gathered in protest. Their message was clear: the people of Mombasa must be heard.
Leo hii hawa vijana wa Mombasa wamejitokeza mbele na wako hapa tayari kupinga, kwa sababu hawa MCA wetu tulowa elect hakuna kazi wanaofanya. Kazi yao kubwa ni tatu peke yake: oversight, representation na legislation. Leo hii tunauliza, wana oversight governor nini?
Among their chief concerns is the alleged failure by the county executive to publicly release and engage the public on the 2025-2026 financial year budget estimates, a move they say goes against Article 10, Cap 2A of the Kenyan Constitution, which guarantees public participation in governance.
Governor wetu wa Mombasa ni kama hajalan na yale maandamano ambayo vijana walifanya mwaka jana tarehe 25 mwezi wa 6. Angekuwa amelan kwa yale maandamano, hangefanya hili swala la budget estimate kuwa siri. Ni kama amelifanya kuwa jambo la siri. Haiwezekani kwamba anatuma tu ka link kwa social media and then expect watu wapate hiyo advertisement.
The protesters say the youth have been particularly sidelined, accusing the county of excluding a demographic that is not only the majority, but also holds the future of governance. The groups are now calling for the immediate release and publication of the draft budget, as well as structured forums to involve youth and other marginalized voices in the financial planning and decision-making. And to matters agriculture, where Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mutahi Kagwe, says upcoming policy reforms in the tea sector will allow all the 142 tea factories in the country to eliminate middlemen and sell directly to international buyers. The move is expected to significantly boost profit margins for tea farmers by increasing transparency in the supply chain.
Reliable distribution outlet that is expected to enhance renewed impetus to sustain product diversification from cut, tear, and curl, i.e. CTC teas, to orthodox teas. Tea factories to sell their teas directly to the international markets without intermediaries. This strategy will augment government of Kenya marketing efforts and therefore translate to increased earnings for our tea farmers.
And tension is building in Kilifi County after local leaders led by Governor Gideon Mung'aro unanimously rejected a proposed multi-billion shillings nuclear power plant in Yambo, that is in Matsangoni. The leaders cited environmental concerns and lack of public participation as their main reasons for opposing the Yambo nuclear power plant. Their rejection came during a fact-finding mission by Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi, his departmental heads and officials from the Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, NUPER, who had convened in Kilifi to discuss the project's viability. Backed by MPs from Malindi, Kilifi, South, Kaloleni, Rabai, Ganze, and Woman Representative Gertrude Mbeyu, Governor Mung'aro insisted that the national government had lost the trust of the community by failing to properly sensitize the public on the project's benefits. In response, CS Wandayi welcomed the feedback and pledged to continue consultations before any decision is made.
We are not ready as a area to host a nuclear plant. That's my personal position. I think that's the position of the entire leadership of Kilifi.
Na hatuko tayari kwa sababu hatutaki miradi. Tunataka miradi mingi iletwe, lakini katika historia na uchanganuzi wa kuchunguza athari na mapato yake, tumepata athari ziko nyingi katika hii mradi.
As you know, the government of President William Ruto is a caring and listening government. So in the spirit of caring and listening, we continue to engage with stakeholders on all matters, and especially on this matter of nuclear power plant in Kilifi County. This meeting is part of that engagement process.
And political leaders continue to condemn the murder of Kasipul lawmaker, that is Charles Ongondo Were, calling on investigative agencies to get to the bottom of his brutal killing. Meanwhile, Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi now says he's being targeted in a plot to oust him from office over his anti-corruption stance.
The murder of Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Were has drawn widespread condemnation from across the political divide. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi termed the killing as a heartbreaking loss, urging swift justice.
Yesterday, I spoke with the president when he asked me, what is really all this? The president is very annoyed, and he said he has given stern instructions that the culprits must be brought to book. We are sure that those who have done this must be brought to book.
Mbadi faulted a section of local leaders for inflaming political tensions, particularly in Kasipul and Dhiwa constituencies.
Don't take lives of our people because of a political seat. Dhiwa constituency is another one, where people are just cutting each other with pangas in the name of politicians. Those politicians who are promoting violence in Homa Bay County, I am also speaking as a leader from this region. You must stop. You cannot force people to vote you into power or back to power. Dhiwa, where my mother comes from, is becoming a hot spot. Must stop. Kasipul must stop.
Mbadi, who was speaking during a funeral at Got Adundo village, Gwasi South location in Suba South, Homa Bay County, warned that the Orange Democratic Movement might be forced to crack its whip if the leaders fail to toe the line. Elsewhere, Kericho County Governor Eric Mutai says former Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i is not fit for presidency.
I have seen people like Matiang'i coming out, and today they are saying that they are angels. We know what Matiang'i did when he was the Minister of Education. The CPC problems that we have today, Matiang'i was the architect of the terrible CPC that we have been struggling. Na kama serikali William at least amejaribu kuweka laini, but Matiang'i was the architect.
He was speaking at Girimori in Kipkelion West during the groundbreaking for construction of a 58 million shillings mother and child unit at Kunyak Dispensary. And Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi now claims there are plans to remove him from office.
Nimewekewa mitego mingi ndani ya hii county. Kila mahali, kila siku unapata kuna vita mpya. Sasa ndio nilisema, asante mzee, ndio nilisema wacha mimi, kwa vile mali hiyo ni mali ya mwana Kiambu, wacha nisimamie mali ya mwana Kiambu. Nilifanya makosa.
The governor maintains that he will not be intimidated and will continue delivering his pledges to the electorate.
Ile pesa ilikuwa inarogotwa na hii county, walikuwa wanarogota 2.9 billion mwaka mzima. Mwaka mmoja tu mimi nimekalia kiti mwaka mmoja. Hiyo pesa nimeongeza, nimerogota 4.7 billion kwa mwaka mmoja. Ujiulize, mwaka mmoja 2 billion imetoka wapi kwa mwaka mmoja? Na sio ati ni watu tumeongeza kodi, lakini ni kufunga mifereji ya wakora.
He made the remarks in Goliba Market, Thika East Sub-County, during the distribution of free fertilizer to residents. Kamche Menza for Lunchtime News.
And that story by Kamche Menza brings us to our first break of the bulletin. I'll be back with much more, including sports.
Je, umewahi kuwa na deni ya KRA? Basi usiwe na shaka. KRA wakishirikiana na KBC wamekuandalia roadshow murwa kabisa. Jiunge nasi tukufahamishe kuhusu KRA Tax Amnesty Program na jinsi utakavyoweza kusamehewa adhabu na riba na KRA. Pia tutakuwa tunakusaidia kujaza fomu za kodi za mwaka 2024 na kukusaidia na huduma za KRA kwa mtaa wako. Jumatano tarehe 7 mwezi Mei tutakuwa maeneo ya Thika Road, TRM, Mombasa Road, Pipeline, Bahati, Kariobangi, Buruburu Shopping Center, Fedha, Kayole, Dandora, Mwiki, Kasarani, tumalizie Roysambu. Kisha Alhamisi tarehe 8 mwezi Mei tutazuru maeneo ya Westlands, Kangemi, Uthiru, Kinoo, Dagoretti, Satellite, Kibra, Ngong Road, Nairobi West, Karen, Ngong na hatimaye Rongai. KRA, tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee.
Right now, quickly.
Pick up your phone, Biggie.
No one tells me what to do.
Nani amenigonga? Who's hit? Hey! Out of my house.
I'll say this again and again. Tina, sit down and talk to your husband. Talking to your mother here is not the solution. She's got problems of her own.
I am not stupid. I've done this kind of monkey business before. So I know my time. 4 hours, Biggie. 4 hours. Thank you for the cup of tea, by the way.
At least everyone knows I do business. I keep wondering, what are his dealings?
Kuna shida.
Why will he respond to your WhatsApp messages and not our calls?
Sijamuona. Sijamuona, madam. Hello. Who's this?
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, residents of Malindi in Kilifi County have raised concern over what they allege is divisive narratives being propagated by some political leaders in the region. Speaking during a community meeting, local leaders emphasized the importance of maintaining peaceful coexistence among all communities living in the region. They urged authorities to take action against individuals accused of inciting tension for personal or political gain.
Hakuna vita, nimekuja kwa sababu ya kukanusha haya mambo mbele ya watu wote katika Kenya nzima na dunia kwamba Malindi hatuna ukabila.
Sisi kama wananchi wa Malindi Town Ward tunataka development. Hatutaki uchochezi wala hatutaki kugawanywa kimakundi ya kikabila.
And to some opposition politics, where National Liberal Party leader Dr. Augustus Muli is accusing opposition leaders of what he has termed as unilateral decision-making on behalf of communities without proper consultation. Speaking during a public engagement in Kitui South, Dr. Muli faulted the alleged dragging of some communities into opposition politics, despite what he says is a growing desire among the majority to work closely with the national government. The party leader further urged leaders from the Ukambani region to prioritize the aspirations of their people over personal or party interests.
Watu Ukambani wanataka maendeleo. Watu wanataka pesa. Wanataka uchumi uimarike Ukambani. Hizi sio vitu zile watu wa huku juu wanaongea. Wale wako juu huku wanaongea sijui Mkamba anataka kuwa kwa upinzani, Mkamba anataka hivi. Hakuna mtu anataja maslahi ya Mkamba.
Let's go to Kitui. To boost agricultural development in Kitui County, the national government has announced plans to construct a state-of-the-art agricultural training institute at Kanyonyo to enhance farming-related skills and support value addition in the livestock sector. The announcement was made following a high-level consultative meeting between officials from the Ministry of Agriculture and the county government of Kitui. The county government of Kitui has already identified and allocated land for the proposed agricultural institute. Dr. Mbaya Kimwele, CECM Agriculture Kitui County, said the 5,000 acres within the B2 Iata Ranch will also include a feedlot.
The Livestock Training Institute will go a long way into educating our students from Kitui and across the nation and beyond on matters of livestock production, animal husbandry, pasture production, and so many other things, and it will benefit the people of Kitui in different ways.
The feedlot project, according to Rose Mutuku from the Ministry of Cooperatives and SME in Kitui County, is expected to support livestock farmers by improving animal nutrition, a structured platform for market access and government extension services.
So with the feedlot, we are going to
get Kitui livestock keeping sustainable. We are going to get also a lot of business from across the other counties, because I believe that Mount Kenya region will be looking at this feedlot here also to benefit from it.
Michael Charlo, Deputy Director of Veterinary Services, urged the locals to embrace this opportunity.
So we will not be relying on just pasture from wherever within the 5,000 acres. And this is a government project, national government project, together with the county government, and the beneficiaries will be our farmers. Let us also tap the development from the national government, because it is very important that we also have something from the government.
The Agricultural Training Institute and Feedlot are part of broader government efforts to empower rural communities, promote agribusiness and ensure food security. Once complete, the institution is expected to serve as a regional hub for agricultural education and innovation. And Kisumu County Governor, that is Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, wants the Kenya Urban Roads Authority and the Kenya Rural Roads Authority to be scrapped and the mandate transferred to the county governments. Professor Nyong'o said the two entities are to blame for the slow construction and repair of local interlinking and feeder roads.
Mama Agnes made...
Kisumu County Governor Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o argues that in other jurisdictions, feeder and other interlinking roads are constructed, repaired and managed by semi-autonomous devolved units.
We shall not sort out the roads problem in this nation if you don't abolish Kura and Kera. Kura and Kera are a waste of public resources. Kenya, we understand, because Kenya is a national highways authority. In any nation, there is always a national highways authority. If you go to the US, you'll get what is called interstate highways. Those interstate highways are built by the government of the United States of America. Other roads belong to the states.
He blamed the delayed repair and construction of some of the roads on the Kenya Urban Roads Authority and the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, whom he accused of unnecessary lethargy.
Because it is the person who wears the shoes who knows where the shoe pinches most. So one of the reasons why the road from the main road coming here is bad is because it is supposed to be done by the national government, which that doesn't do it. If you left it to the Muhoroni sub-county and Kisumu sub-county, I am sure money be allocated to that road. I'm assuming you.
He spoke as he joined Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of performance and delivery in the Executive Office, Eliud Owalo, and other leaders at the burial ceremony of the late Agnes Ojanyi in Koru, Kisumu County. Owalo reiterated the government's commitment to expand the entire western region for commerce.
Let me state that those of us in the national government and those in the county government from Nyanza here, we have agreed to work together in pursuit of development. And we have profiled, identified about 10 mega projects that we want to work together to pursue for the benefit of Nyanza as a whole. The other project we are pursuing is the Lake Victoria Ring Road, Lake Region Ring Road. This is a road which emanates all the way from Busia, passes through Kisumu, Homa Bay, all the way to Kenya, Tanzania border. That road has now been redesigned. Ministry of Transport has forwarded proposals to National Treasury, and National Treasury is now in the process of undertaking negotiations with the World Bank for purposes of funding.
The late Mrs. Ojanyi was the first Kenyan woman to head a state corporation in the country after the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi appointed her as the Chief Executive Officer of the Catering Levy Trustees. Achola Simon, Lunchtime News, Kisumu County.
I look at sports now, where the Antidoping Agency of Kenya has continued to spread the word on the importance of clean sports, and more than 400 athletes in Kericho were part of the sensitization conducted by the agency. Other sensitization workshops were held in Londiani, Kabianga and Kericho town.
More than 400 athletes this week have been part of the doping sensitization sessions held in Kericho, which started at the Lemotit camp. The sessions, which have been running concurrently with other sessions in Nyahururu and Eldoret, and which also have traversed almost the entire country since the year started, are aimed at reducing, if not eradicating, the doping menace among Kenyan sportsmen and women.
Athletes and the officials around have really embraced clean sports education, and I want to believe that by so doing, we are getting rid of doping in Kericho and in sports generally.
The sessions were touching on contact of athletes with doping, with ADAC focused on educating the sportsmen and women on the procedures of sample collection.
One thing that we are cautioning the athletes when it comes to the issue of doping, majorly we talk of the consequences. One of the major consequences that we know is the health. If you make a follow-up, you realize that those who are involved in doping, their health deteriorates and they would face other consequences like eventually death. And we have so many other ailments that results from the use of these prohibited substances.
ADAC is mandated to educate athletes on the processes involved when being tested, and their sessions touched on basic topics including how samples are collected, anti-doping violation, consequences of doping, list of prohibited substances, and therapeutic youth exemption, where athletes are exempted from bans depending on circumstances under which they used a banned substance.
Getting a sponsorship will not be possible, and that follows that your life, the financial muscle or financial ability goes down. And this is what is really affecting most of these athletes. Once they are caught doping, they enter into depression. Why? Because now they don't have income. They can't sustain themselves. They now go back to begging or selling whatever they have. It's a very terrible situation.
Since June 2022, ADAC has provisionally suspended about 20 athletes for violation of the doping rule, with some having already tested positive for banned substances.
Tunajua kwamba this is a requirement for World Championship. Ni lazima attend meeting ya Antidoping na inatusaidia sana. Imetusaidia cause imeletwa hapa Kericho. Kitambo tulikuwa tunaenda maybe Kapsabet ama Iten, so tunashukuru imeletwa hapa Kericho.
Every month ikiwezekana itakuwa mzuri zaidi, ndio wanariadha wajue sahili wanakimbia mambo ya dawa ni mbaya sana, wanasaharibu hata mwili yako ama mwili yake ama haribu hata mambo ya mbio katika nchi yetu.
The programs will continue as ADAC together with the World Anti-Doping Agency continue to advocate for clean sport all around the world.
I look at the EPL now, where Pep Guardiola says he will take a break from management after he leaves Manchester City, though he does not know when he will retire. Guardiola has overseen the most successful period in City's history, with his side winning 6 of the past 9 Premier League titles, as well as the club's first Champions League as part of the treble in 2022-2023. City moved up to 3rd in the Premier League after beating Wolves 1-0 last night at the Etihad, and could still finish the season with silverware as they face Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final on the 17th of May.
Wolves have been in decent recent form.
That story brings us to the end of the news this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time and your company. My name is Maria, and of course, we still have a lot, lined up for you in the evening at 7 and 9 p.m. Stay tuned.
Rudhimitwa.
Najiuliza lamkini amani itatoka wapi?
Mwenye macho wajishusha, wajiona kama ndovu.
Visa vingi vya ajali vinasababishwa na utepetevu wa madereva ama unakataa?
Ukiangalia huku nje kuna madereva ambao hawajahitimu katika kuendesha magari haya.
Mimi nasema pia askari pia wanachangia katika usababishi wa ajali.
Gani kiyeyusho? Gani kingongo?
Na ni nazali ama kingongo. Na ya kiyeyusho.
Joto la mwaka huu. Mji huu una joto. Unazungumzia nini? Masuala gani?
Mabadiliko ya anga.
Mabadiliko ya hali ya anga, sio?
They say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Hujambo mtazamaji mahali popote ulipo, mchana wa leo ni fahari yetu kujumuika nawe kwenye makala mengine ya dunia wiki hii.
Bila shaka karibu tena sana makusudi tuweze kukujuza yale yote ambayo unayapaswa kuyafahamu kutoka mataifa mbalimbali kote duniani. Ni kwa ushirikiano wa shirika la utangazaji nchini KBC na shirika la Xinhua.